Now, as we mentioned before the break, a lot of times...
By the way, our sponsor, Pepsi, will not like these things.
Oh, and by the way, we do want to thank our sponsors for all that they do for us.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice there's some new sponsors up on the board, up on the website and what have you, and we got a bunch of new things coming up that's going to be real exciting, so you need to watch out for that on the website. But Joel's helping us get the sync set ready.
The first thing that we want to talk about,
is
that
cool.
your new rifle?
This is a new gun. It's an abaco sync lock.
Okay.
Okay, no, this is really cool. This is a 48-inch model.
Oh, there you go.
And, huh?
You're just a crazy lady. Okay.
Hey, you got to have fun. All right.
All right. Here it is right here. This is a pretty cool looking tool. As you can see, it comes yeah,
kind of assembled.
A little bit there you go. Like
all right.
that, yeah. And this is really cool because whether you're trying to either reinstall a bowl or remove a bowl, this is definitely a tool to have. Now, it comes in two sizes, 24 or 48 inches.
Right.
And this is real simple. These pieces right here pop right off. These pop right off. Have you got yours?
Yep.
And what you would do is you'd go ahead and position this. In this case, I guess we'd have to position it like that.
Okay.
Drop this threaded rod right down and then lock it into place. And then typically, I guess you'd reach right in from the front of the sink button. So you take in...
From the sink button.
Yeah, the sink button. Actually, you want this little button right here. You wanted to press that,
right?
Because by depressing it aligns the travel hole, and then when you release it, it locks onto the thread.
Okay.
So
now we're going to have to take this back off though, because we're going to actually have to partially remove this bowl, won't we?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, one of the great things is once you get it on there, you can actually turn it, loosen it up,
right?
Reposition it, and you can actually tighten these things.
So for installing a bowl, especially in granite, this has got to be awesome.
Oh yeah, it'll pull that bowl.
Okay. But now you're not going to tighten these. You're not going to tighten these when we remove the bowl because you don't want it to pinch.
You're going to
actually loosen these and let that bowl drop a little bit, correct?
Yeah. If we did it to where the bowl maybe had just a 32nd to no more than a 16th of travel,
okay,
that's enough to release it from our cut blade and to drop freely.
Why don't you go ahead and just check this for depth.
Okay.
I know Joel did a minute ago, but you might want to take a look at that, and I'll go ahead and remove this very quickly.
Okay. Now, one of the things John was talking about is essentially true. If you're outright just trying to save a bowl, you probably want to burn the top material. However, most bowl rims are thick enough, and I can actually probably show you with one of these things. Most bowl rims are thick enough here.
This is like a scepter.
Yeah. They're thick enough, as you can see the thickness here of this bowl, that you can burn the 3/16 that'll take off and still reuse the bowl. Now you're going to have to make sure that your bowl rim is flat again when you go to glue it up. But in most cases, you can really just concentrate on cutting right at where the sheet joins the bowl, but take the cut out of the bowl.
Right.
And by doing that, you can still reuse the bowl and save your sheet good too at the same time.
And a little tip on reusing the bowl. Joel and I actually worked on a countertop, and we had a really cool silver-looking bowl, pewter kind of solid surface bowl, and it was removed from a job, and it kind of looked like they took it out with a chainsaw. I mean, it was pretty messed up over the top. But what we did was we made a hole in a board that the bowl dropped into, and then we made another board that was like a template that dropped over it, and then we were allowed to take a router and ride right around the bowl all the way around and resurface that whole top. And we did it probably in 20 minutes, and that bowl was ready to use again.
Now, in this case, this is a large wing cut bit. As you can see, it's got a... it's not plugged in, is it? No. Okay, good.
You want me to plug it in, Ken?
No, not yet. It's got a nylon bearing on it, which will end up running against here. Now, anytime you get into large bits, this is really important. Whenever you run a large bit, you need to drop the RPM of the tool. Because the problem is the further you get out from the center of anything, the more speed the bit gains. If we took this bit and we had it set for a half-inch, or let's say we use this router and we were using a half-inch bit, well, the RPMs are typically rated on that type of an application.
Right, they're like around 22 or 23,000.
But by the time you start extending that out further and further and further, it's actually the speed of the bit is gaining. So it's actually going faster and faster.
I would think it would be slower on the outside.
It's like the old merry-go-round. Remember, where is it safest on a merry-go-round?
No, that's true, right in the center.
Right in the center. You get out on that edge and your legs are hanging in the air and you're standing
right.
for them to stop.
Okay.
So yeah, because remember, for this to maintain its speed, out here it's going faster and faster and faster. It's just like planets going around the sun. You know, it's just you're going to spin faster.
You are Mr. Wizard.
Well,
I'm really impressed.
Well, at least it's not Mr. Weird.
Yeah.
So,
are you going to do this now?
Then what we want to do is, the next thing you want to do is you always want to take the router and you want to take and make sure that that bit is lined up right at about at the bottom of the sheet good, which would look like we're very close.
This is kind of hairy with a small base. This would be much better with a larger base router, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's not so bad.
No?
It could be worse.
Okay.
But again, so, you know, it's something we'll just take, and it looks like Joel's pretty darn close.
Okay.
We might be a whisker on the high side. But
that's okay.
In this case, we're not going to worry about it because
so
we're
now
not
what are you going
saving
to do,
this.
just so we know?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to show how good that abaco tool is. So I'm actually going to make a plunge cut. I'm going to run it from here to here. I'm sorry, not a plunge cut, but an insert cut.
Right.
I'll make a cut from here to here.
Okay.
And then, or actually, I'm going to go all the way to here. I'm sorry. Because of the diagonal that runs. I'll make a cut from here to here. And then I'll make a cut from here to here. Then we'll insert our bar back in place.
Let's look at this a minute here, because this is going to sit like this, Ken.
Correct. So if I go from here to here,
okay,
and then from here to here.
Are you going to be able to get the router in to make that finished
No,
cut?
I think I'm going to have to make that
I don't
too.
think
You're
so.
right. You're right.
I don't think so.
So it's good with this tool to look again to make sure. So we know
So why
we're
don't
going to
you
make
just
a
go
cut
from
from
here
here to
all
here,
the way around to there, and
then
the bowl
we'll
will still
insert
hang
that.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right.
You need
Now
any
you'll
help with this,
notice
or you
too.
okay?
No, if you wouldn't mind plugging that in. Now you'll notice when I set a router down too. This is another safety point for the tool. You'll notice this is a European style router, so it's got that D base on it. But you'll notice I always set the router down on the flat part.
Right.
The reason why is it prevents the router from rolling. Also, if you get in the habit of setting a router down like that, whenever you put a router down, the bit is away from you.
Okay.
Some people will make the mistake of putting a tool down like this.
Now, when I picked that up earlier, I actually had it facing the other way. I had the thumb in this hand, but you have it in the left hand.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
you want it like that.
All right. So don't do it the way I was doing it, folks.
Now the weight is on this hand.
Okay? Man, that is a messy job.
That is.
Woo!
Now, one of the things that did happen is once I got over to this edge, I transitioned my weight into my right hand.
Right.
Because now I was writing on this edge.
Okay.
Because ideally, you know, you want to make sure that you're not stopping or rotating the tool around. You want to just let it roll on the bearing where it naturally will go and keep your cut going. As you can see, our cut is just about dead perfect. It's maybe at the most a 30-second high.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this on. Did you happen to notice while you were routing how much that air was sucked in when I turned that Denray wall on?
I did.
Okay, so now these, we're going to bring these up, but we're not going to put them on real tight. Because essentially what we want to do is we want the bowl to remain exactly where it is when we drop, or when we make the final cut.
Okay.
And you're going to come around to here with it.
Yes, I am. That's plenty of room though for me. I should be in good shape.
Okay, no, that's great.
All right. So we're going to take, again, now in this case, my weight is now on this hand.
Okay.
So we'll back it out, start it up. I believe it did.
Look at that.
Yep.
Are we actually cut out?
Yep.
Yeah, we are. Look at that. Oh, that is excellent.
So as you can see, we had no travel to it. The only thing I feel in there, which what we'll do is let's go ahead and drop the bowl. Hold it inside the sink cutout. Press your bar, bring your clamp off. Okay. Take our rods out. Okay, let's take our bowl down.
Hold on. Okay. Now we
Okay.
actually can't take it out because of the stand.
Okay.
So do you want to lift the top off so we can look at the bowl?
We can certainly do that.
All right.
Now, as you can see, here's the top.
Boy, I tell you.
Good thing I caught that.
Yeah.
As you can see, now here's the top. This is the excess glue from the squeeze out to begin with. But if at the very most, all we've done is very slightly resurface this area. So you could take and re-glue another bowl to this pretty cleanly. If that were a problem, you could always take a chisel and just clean this excess glue off. But we know our bowl cut was really good. So we'll put this over here and
Turn
move
that
it out
fan
of the way.
off just a minute. Well, let me ask you something, Ken. You know, this is all great in a controlled environment, if you will. But what's going to happen if you're actually in someone's home and you're doing this? Like, how would you get the deck cleaned up and ready for another bowl? You have to just get up underneath that countertop and sand it all
Well,
out?
there's a couple different ways. There's a couple different ways people do it. Some people do it that way. I've known cases where people will use even like a small hand block plane, and go and try to clean excess glue off.
Wow, okay.
You can use a chisel, but essentially, yeah, you want to get that area cleaned off, whatever method, whether you sand it, whether you use a chisel to clean off, because again, the only thing left there is the excess glue from the squeeze out of when the bowl was initially glued up.
Okay.
For the most part, if we're using the same exact bowl, we're probably going to be almost identically in the same path.
Right, okay.
And if not, you know, we may need a little bit of room. What's going to be most important is in replacing a bowl, you're going to have to line this up very carefully.
Okay.
Because you
Yeah,
don't.
you're going to have
you
the
don't
right
have
amount of
the-
material left?
Yeah, that's the point. You're going to have to get it very, very close, because what you may have to do is end up sanding a little break of the bowl away.
Okay, all right.
And unfortunately,
But it's still much better than pulling the whole top out.
Yeah.
Now, one thing to remember, if you're doing this in somebody's house, obviously you can see we have dust all over the place, and you're going to have a problem with dust in a home. So, for one, you want to turn the air conditioners off so you don't draw all the dust through the house.
Yeah, but that way you can breathe better.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to close all the doors, tape everything off really well, and keep all that dust contained into one room, because it is going to be nasty. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's some methods on the market to remove the bowls with less dust. None of them are dustless.
No, unfortunately
and
not.
Another good tip that Ken mentioned during the break is when you're going to take a bowl out, make sure you've removed all the plumbing.
Yeah, there are guys that there are guys. The biggest thing is you really want to support the bowl, like we did with the abaco sink rail, whatever the thing it was, because remember, when you cut the bowl, it's going to drop.
Right.
And if you haven't,
This is a lot easier than like a sink stand or something.
oh, without doubt, because it's nothing
It's
to
just right there.
remove, and it's nothing. It's simple to
Yeah.
put in place and simple to take out of the way. You want to make sure you protect the plumbing, because you don't want the bowl to drop freely on it, because then you're going to really increase the size bill you have. Now, the point that John brought up about controlling the dust, one of the simple things to do, there are products on the market, I believe we have it, where you can extend poles from floor to ceiling and just
Right.
use visqueen. Put a fan right in the window, because typically there's a window right in front of you in almost every kitchen
Yep.
situation.
Absolutely.
And let that fan just suck everything right out.
Great.
So that's an easy way to do it. Again, a simple process. This bowl, as you can see, we've cut it out. There is plenty of rim left. Now, the manufacturer won't like to hear me say this, but you can use this sink again.
Yeah.
There's no reason to throw it out. And John did point out something that's very true, is it is really easy to glue, especially vanity bowls, in the wrong position.
Yep.
No reason to throw those out, guys. You can easily cut the bowl out and remount it. So save yourself some money. And I think that's really about all the time we have this week, isn't it?
I think it is.
Even
It was
as
a great
late as
show.
we goofed and started.
I
But
know, yeah. Well, hopefully we didn't lose our audience, but will be up in the archives.
The point is, if you use a Cobalt, remember, it doesn't know about the time change.
That's right. Well, we certainly appreciate you being with us. We hope you enjoyed the show. I know we enjoyed doing it, as always. Got a little bit more dirty than usual, but
that's fun.
It was great.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. We have a fantastic show coming up.
Do
Make sure you don't miss the next show.
Okay.
And with that,
Do you know what's on the next show?
I'm not telling.
Okay. We'll see you, folks. Thanks.
Bye.